What if some did not believe? Should their unbelief make the faith of God without effect? It's Romans 3:3. Um, it's just encourage anybody, if you're around people who don't believe how you believe. And what I mean by that is, if God calls you something greater, He's called every believer to something greater and higher. Because the Bible says, "Thy kingdom come, that will be done on earth as it is in heaven." And so heaven is to invade earth. And if you happen to be around other believers, you live with them, whether it's family, friends, co-workers, it could be a spouse, it could be your children, you could be in community with people in your neighborhood. Don't let their unbelief or their lack of belief derail you from what God has given to you. I know sometimes people say, God put you there so other people can see and so they can believe. But I think there's another side to that, is that don't let other people's unbelief affect your belief. And sometimes you don't have to tell people what you're doing. It could just be the simple fact that they don't believe at a higher level. You could be like on a level 100 and they're believing at a level 5. And so for whatever reason, because their faith isn't at that level of yours, they'll think that God is not true, or they'll think that you're false or you're off. And that's the first thing from the truth. It's just sometimes people have a cap on their belief, but that's why I said to go faith to faith and glory to glory. And all we need is a mustard size seed. And I have areas in my own life where I'm seeing like I had allowed somebody else's unbelief start to affect my belief. But greater is He that's in me than he is in the world. So don't let other people derail your belief, whether they're believers or they're not, because there is a such thing as unbelieving believers, especially when it comes to Christians. Some people when they try to put a cap on what you can do, they're really not just putting a cap on you alone. They're also putting a cap on God, which is dangerous. And then it's even more dangerous to believe the people that project basically what they're doing. They're projecting their limited faith. They're projecting their lack of faith. Maybe they're projecting things that they never stepped out on that God gave them to do. Or they may think that God never called them to something greater, but that's a lie, because we all come into the earth with gifts. And it's a gift. It's just naturally given, right? In Genesis, in the beginning, when after Adam and Eve, ate the fruit that God told them not to eat from the tree, they sold themselves fig leaves. And what I find interesting about that, when I'm meditating on that, is that how did they know to sow? Like, how did they know to sow fig leaf? Not just grab fig leaves, but how did they have the skill and the gifting to sew a whole suit together? So that really lets me know that God, when we're born, brought into this earth. Well, they weren't born; they were, breathed into. But when we're born, we brought into this earth through our mothers. We already come into this earth with gifts, and so there's no such thing as you lacking a gift or gifts, because the word says God gave gifts, as plural, gifts unto men, meaning mankind, meaning every man born into the world, every woman born into the world. We come into this world with gifts. And sometimes the environment we're in is not conducive for the gifts to grow. Sometimes the atmosphere we're in, and the environment could be the school you attend. It could be the classroom you're in. It could be the teacher you're being taught by. It could be the tutor you're being taught by. It could be the church that you attend. It could be the family environment. It could be the household you live in. It could be the workspace you live in. And I'm not saying people should just up and quit and leave and stuff like that. What I'm saying is that, like, sometimes certain areas are not conducive for us to grow in certain areas, because other people's unbelief could choke things out. And I just kind of thinking about like fruit, thinking about climates, right? Like in the rainforest, only certain fruits can grow in the rainforest. I live in Illinois. we get humidity here, but it's not enough to produce that of like a rainforest, right? So there are certain things that can't grow here in Illinois that can grow like in the rainforest in Brazil somewhere, or Thailand, or somewhere with a very high tropical climate, and vice versa. And so it is difficult, it's challenging. You want people to believe how you believe and see how you see, and there could be various reasons as to why that is. And I'm learning that it's not your job to convince people, not even how you believe, but really believe in God and believing in a going to that next level, going from faith to faith and glory to glory. There's no number on faith to faith. It's not like God said, okay, the number is 5 billion from faith to faith and glory to glory. Like, it's ongoing. It's never ending. And so sometimes, unfortunately, it could hurt. Sometimes you just got to keep certain things to yourself until it manifests, until it brings itself into fruition. Because the enemy for sure will work through people who don't believe, right? He could whisper in their ear, oh man, look at what they doing. They think they better than you, blah, blah, blah. We in the same kingdom. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got something that I need, and I got something that you need. But what I'm learning, just giving you guys encouragement, is that, like, you just got to be mindful of your surroundings, your environment, your atmosphere, your climate. Though you're meant to grow, you're not always meant to grow around the same people. And growth can be uncomfortable at times. Sometimes it can be comfortable. Sometimes it can be fun. Sometimes it's not fun. But yeah, I just wanted to come and let y'all, give y'all some encouragement, some daily encouragement. Don't let other people's unbelief or their projections or cap on you or their cap on God derail you. Because sometimes people will think like, oh, God using this person, God using that person. That's already showing you the limitation in their mind, how they perceive you. And I know a lot of times, we hear about God hides us in plain sight and God is hiding us from people, but sometimes you could just tell someone the smallest thing, and just pay attention to people's reactions, right? I'm learning this more and more. Before I used to be a person, I would kind of brush stuff off, like, maybe they, maybe they just felt some type of way about themselves and they took it out on me. But I had to like start paying attention and looking, not trying to meditate or focus on it, but looking at how people, respond to me after I told them certain things. Some stuff was already in fruition. Some stuff never in fruition. It hasn't even happened yet. Some stuff was just an idea and a thought. And, just pay attention to how people respond to you. And not to get upset with them. Not to belittle them back. But just to know who's safe. Just to know who can handle what God is going to give you, because everybody can't handle what God is going to do for you through a happy time, through a trying time. Everybody can't handle it. And I'm kind of going through like a Job season right now. I didn't really want to believe it, but I've been going through a Job season for a minute. And even when you're going through your trying times, it exposes people. No matter what kind of season you're in life, the seasons that you experience your life is going to expose people. I know a lot of times, when we go through our own stuff, God is exposing our hearts. I know for sure He's showing me stuff like, okay, like I'm seeing stuff like, oh, I don't like that. But when you're around people, like, pay attention to how it is when you're up. Pay attention to how it is when you're down. Pay attention to how they respond to you, how they treat you. Because all the things are going to let you know if those people should continue to be with you on your journey or not. And I'm saying for myself, just come back and look at the video too. But just pay attention. And if you can, and I know sometimes it's hard to pray for people, but honestly, yes, the Bible says we should be at peace with all men, making intercession at all times. But really, the only thing God called us to do is to love people. Say we all know man nothing but to love him, and that's the love with agape love. That's the love with the love of Christ. And everybody can't handle the greatness that's on the side of you, maybe because they don't believe they can handle the greatness inside themselves. And that's not your fault. And it's not your responsibility. Just go forward in whatever God gave you to do. And all the right people going to line. All the right people going to show up. And I'm learning that, you got to make room for the people that's supposed to be in your life. I'm learning that God's remnant, chosen ones, we have an expiration date with relationships. And I'm not saying like you go cut people off and do all this stuff, but for people really like, you had to leave everything, like everything, you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. I ain't gotta go into no deep detail. It's an expiration date. Because if you stay around people that got an expiration date, you're gonna end up drinking something that's spoiled and then you're gonna get sick. And so, you know, let's make sure you're moving properly. And don't let nobody cap your blessing. Don't let nobody cap your dream. Don't let nobody cap your belief. And don't let nobody cap your faith and your faith in God. And, you know, it could be lonely for a season. It could be uncomfortable for a season, but just pray that God place the right people in your life who aren't intimidated by who you are and what you can do and who you're becoming. So I love y'all. See you on the next video.